Hello and welcome to class. My name is Caley Alyssa, and today we are going through a nice and slow, nice and easy beginner flow. This is the perfect class if you're just getting started with yoga and want to dip your toes into the practice. And it's also a great class for recovery and rest if you're a more advanced practitioner or if you're an athlete wanting to stretch things out. We will mostly focus on lengthening and strengthening the anterior side of the body. So when you're ready, we'll begin in a child's pose with your knees spread wide and your feet together. As your knees spread and your feet touch, you'll press your hips back towards your heels and walk your hands out in front of you, allowing your forehead to come down to the yoga mat and rest. And you want to work the weight back, so the weight is moving into the hips and the heels here. And we'll take a few breaths like this. So this is a really good posture if ever you're in a practice and you need a rest. Child's pose is the perfect break. You drop your knees, you drop your head, and you take a few breaths to collect yourself here. Good. And then from this position, just walk your hands over to the right side. So we'll do a little side body stretch here. Reaching out through the left fingertips, push your left hip back behind you, and you'll feel that left side body get a stretch. And then we'll walk the hands to the opposite side of the mat. And same thing, reach a little further out now through your right fingertips, and you'll feel that whole right side body getting a stretch. Okay, and then we'll come back to center. And as you do, lift your body up. So finding a what we call tabletop position. So my knees are right underneath my hips, and then my wrists are right underneath my shoulders. So I'm stacked, basically. This is a really stable posture to be in. And just kind of wiggle side to side with your hips and your shoulders. Feel into that stability. And one of the major movements that you'll practice in almost any yoga class that you go to is called cat-cow. So this is a really good stretch and a really way to sync your breath to your movement. It opens up the chest, the shoulders, the upper back space. If you have any tension or tightness there, it's a really nice stretch to do. So on your in-breath, you'll fill the belly and you'll allow your heart to come forward. Big breath in. This is the cow. And as we exhale, we push into the palms of the hands. We pull the belly in. And we round the upper back. So this is the cat. Move through this a few times. Inhale, fill the belly. Feel that stretch and the heart open. And then exhale into your cat. Good. Inhale into the cow. And again, exhale into that cat. And we'll take one more time. Inhale into the cow, and exhale into the cat. All right, come back to neutral with your spine. So the next thing we'll do is called bird dog, and bird dog is a really nice way to activate opposite sides of the body. So we're working with diagonal lines of energy here. So we'll start by stepping the right foot back first, and as your right foot steps back, the toes will tuck and just press back into the right heel. So if you have any tightness in your calf muscle, this will feel really good. Pushing back into that right heel. And then draw your navel in and up, activate your core, activate your glute, and start to lift the right leg up to the height of your hip. And just watch it doesn't go higher, because then we're dumping into the back and we're arching or rounding the back here. And so we want, again, keep the core engaged, the glutes engaged, and try to keep the leg at the height of the hip. Go ahead and reach your left arm, so that's the opposite arm, forward to match that right leg. So feel into this length first. Reach out through the fingertips, kick back through the toes. Feel into that length and that diagonal line of energy. And then let's add a little bit here. So take an inhale, and on your exhale, see if you could bring your elbow and your knee to touch underneath your body. And we'll do that a couple times. Inhale to reach and extend. So we're linking our breath to our movement. Exhale, pull it in. And again, inhale, reach. Exhale, pull it in. We'll just do one more like that. Inhale to reach. Exhale to pull it in. Good, and then inhale, re-extend, hold here. Place your left hand down. Take your right leg all the way over to the side and place the right foot down outside of your yoga mat. So walk those hands in and lift your torso up. We're coming to what's called gate pose, and this is a really nice stretch to do in your practice as well. So in gate pose, we'll take the right hand to the right leg and reach the left arm up and over for a little side stretch. Breathe here. So you'll feel the whole left side of the body getting a stretch in this position. Good. And then let's come back up and we'll do the opposite of that. So placing the left hand down outside of the left leg. Now you can grab a block if you need to elevate the floor a little bit and support your body in that way. Reaching the right arm all the way up and over. Now we feel a long line of energy all the way down the right side body. Stretch, reach, and breathe here. Make sure you're not holding your breath. We want the breath to flow really easy and effortlessly. Good. We'll slowly come out of this. So setting the block to the side. And we'll return to that tabletop position on the hands and the knees. And again, just kind of shift the hip side to side, shoulder side to side. All right, so let's come into the second side. Stepping that left leg back behind you, tuck the toes, and press back through the left heel until you feel your calf muscle in the back of the left leg getting a stretch. Should feel pretty good. And then once you're ready, activate your core. So pull your belly in and up, activate your glutes. So squeeze your butt cheek and start to lift that left leg up to the height of your hip. Now your right arm, the opposite arm, will come forward to match this. And so at first, we just want to feel this length. Reach out through the right fingertips. You can kick back through the left toes. Feel that long diagonal line of energy here. And then we'll sync the breath to the movement. So we take an inhale. And on the exhale, bring the elbow and the knee to touch underneath your body. And you can contract your core a little bit. Good. Inhale, re-extend. Do it again. Exhale. Good. Inhale, re-extend. And one more time. Exhale, pull it in. Inhale, re-extend. And stay here. Just bring the right hand down to the ground. So that left leg is lifted. We'll swing it all the way over to the left side of the mat, placing the foot down on the ground. And then I'm going to come on up here, prepping for gate pose. So the torso lifts, my left hand will come to the left leg, and I'll reach up and over with the right arm. So now the whole right side body. Is it getting a stretch? Whole right side body. And you can even push your right knee and shin down into the mat, and you'll feel that stretch a little bit more intensely here. Should feel pretty good. All right, and then we'll come back up. Slowly do the opposite of that. So your right hand can come down to the floor, or you can grab a block or a book or whatever you have to elevate the floor a little bit, and then reach that left arm all the way up and over. Now the one thing I'll say here is just be mindful you're not dumping into your right shoulder, right? So lift up out of the right shoulder, create some space and length. And you can even push down into the left foot and the outer edge of the left foot and reach out through the left fingertips a little bit more to feel that opposing stretch. Good. And then we'll slowly release this. So you can set the block to the side, come back into tabletop position. Now we'll be coming into downward facing dog, which is one of the most important postures to know and to practice in yoga. It feels really good on the whole back body. So the back of the legs, the back body, all of it. Go ahead and tuck your toes under, and then slowly start to press the weight back into the feet, lift the knees off the ground, And with your knees lifted, keep pushing the hips back, right? So we'll keep a bend in the knees for our purposes today. With the knees bent, the weight moves out of the hands into the feet. And if you're already feeling a stretch here, great. We just want to hang right here in this position. The goal with our down dog is to take the flexion or the rounding out of the back. So if you're really tight in the shoulders and the upper back and you look somewhat like me, you want to soften the weight back into the legs. And this is why we bend the knees. It allows a little bit more space in our downward facing dog for us to kind of maneuver around tight shoulders and a tight upper back. So the knees bent are our friends. Okay. And we're gonna move with a breath here, just take a couple of movements. So inhale from down dog and come forward into plank position. Okay. And then as you exhale, we'll just go right back into that bent knee down dog. We'll do this a couple of times. Inhale, come forward into plank. Exhale, back, bend the knees. And again, inhale, forward to plank. And exhale back and bend the knees. Okay, let's come back into plank and hold plank position. Hold plank position. If this is too much, you can always drop one knee, drop two knees, do whatever your body needs, okay? If it's not too much, I want you to stay up there in plank. So find your breath. Shoulders stacked right over the wrists. Good, we'll breathe for 5. 4, 3, and 2. On 1, we'll lower all the way down onto the belly so you can drop your knees to get yourself there. Instead of having your elbows bend out to the sides, see if you can glue your elbows in towards your body as you come down onto the belly. Now we'll be working with Cobra Pose. So this opens up that anterior, the front part of the body, the heart, the shoulders, often where we carry a lot of tension and tightness. So hands are next to kind of the breast area or the nipple line. Activate the legs, push down into the tops of the feet so the legs are active. And then on your inhale, lift up here with the chest. So we lift up just a couple of inches, and a really good checkpoint here, you can exhale, is to see if you can lift your hands off of the yoga mat. So my hands are really light. What this means is I'm activating my back body. All of the muscles in my back body are working to open my front body and allow some spaciousness here. And we'll even take those hands behind us today, interlacing the fingers. And as you interlace the fingers, notice the shoulders want to round forward a little bit here. So go ahead and roll your shoulders open. See if you could lift up a little higher by pushing down once more into the tops of your feet. And if it's available for you, you might be able to lift your wrists off of your butt cheeks. If it's not available, just stay wherever you are and breathe for 5, 4, 3, and 2, 1. Go ahead and release this. Press yourself back into that child's pose, the position we started our class with. So the knees spread wide, the feet together, and the hips push back to the heels. And then from child's pose, we'll come back into our downward facing dog. So you want to tuck your toes under, keep that bend in your knees. As you lift the knees off the mat, the hips push back. And we find our downward facing dog. Okay, now I want you to walk your feet up, just one at a time, all the way up to the top of your yoga mat here. Feet all the way up to the top of the mat. So you're in a forward fold at the top of your mat. And you can just go ahead and grab onto opposite elbow, allow your head to hang, allow your torso to hang, okay? Doesn't matter how folded forward you are. It just matters that you're feeling some sensation and it feels good. Your head is down, you can sway side to side, bend into one knee and then the other. Okay, good. And then if you have your 2 blocks, we're gonna grab those and place them on either side at the top of the mat. And from here, go ahead and inhale, reach your arms all the way up and overhead. So we come to standing, reach up, look up at those hands. And as you exhale, your hands come to your heart center. All right. Bring your hands to your hips And we'll step the left foot back about 3 feet, 2.5 feet. Now you wanna make sure your feet are not on the same line because you'll be really wobbly and off balance. So your right foot steps over to the right, left foot steps over to the left. Give your hips some room because we want those hips to point forward here, all right? Now my blocks are all ready for me. So I'm gonna inhale, reach my arms up, and with my hips pointed forward on the exhale, I come forward. Bringing my hands to the blocks, and then you can adjust. You can move those blocks wherever you need them here. So they should be about underneath your shoulders. And then play around here. So your right hip might be swinging over to the right. See if you can hug your right hip into the midline of your body. You might feel like you could lift the toes of the front foot up off the mat. Good. You might even feel like you want to walk those blocks forward and you want to fold your body over that front right leg. All of these variations are great. And the thing that's beautiful about being a beginner in yoga is that you get to explore your body for like one of the very first times in a very different way. And so we're exploring to see what feels good, what your body needs, and that will change every single practice. So whatever feels good, find it, and make sure you're breathing. A really good indicator that you've gone too far in your practice is that you're holding your breath. We always want the breath to be flowing here. If the breath's not flowing, the muscles won't relax and we can't get a stretch. All right, wherever you are, walk your hands back in. From here, bend into the back knee and we'll step the left foot a little further back behind us. So we're coming into a low lunge. And we can still utilize the support of the blocks here in the low lunge. I'm gonna untuck my back toes on that back foot. And then if you feel comfortable, you could walk your hands up to the front knee or thigh. And you might even just go ahead and reach your arms all the way up overhead, but it's only if you feel stable and comfortable here, okay? And then today, we'll take the hands and interlace them and just bring them behind your head. So like you're creating a little pillow for your head to rest in. And then try to lift your head up a little bit. So you might find you feel a little bit wobbly if you shift your gaze up. Right? So if you've gone too far, you can back out of it. Right? You can always bring your hands back to the thigh or back to the blocks. Wherever you are, make sure you're breathing. For 3. Good. For 2. And on 1, we'll release. So bringing the hands back to the blocks, and we'll walk the blocks back as we straighten the front leg. So check out your back leg. We want the back leg to be at a 90-degree angle, meaning your hip is stacked over the knee. And the front leg is straight. So we're coming into what's called a half split or Ardha Hanuman in yoga. And the front leg is straight. We want to see if you can push through the ball of the big toe mountain. So we're actually lengthening the inner border of your front leg. If that's too much for you, just flex your front foot, okay? That's all you got to think about. If you can, press the ball of the big toe mountain forward, pull the pinky toe side of the foot backward. And then we want to, again, take the flexion or the rounding out of the back. We're constantly hunched over. We're on our phones. We're on our computers all day. We're driving. So we want to do the opposite of that. So see if you can find extension in your spine. So you're lengthening the spine. Okay, and then hold into that extension. If it's available and you want to fold forward a little bit, you could do that, but only if you're not rounding your back body, okay? Find your breath. Once more, make sure you're breathing. It's one of my favorite stretches. This is a really good stretch if you're a runner. If you're an athlete, we always got to get into those hamstrings after a really long run session. So this is a good one to have in your back pocket. Okay, let's rebend into the front knee. We're gonna come out of this position. So tuck your back toes under and just step your left foot, the back foot, all the way up to the top of your mat, okay? Inhale, we'll reach those arms all the way overhead. So we're coming to standing. And exhale, we bring the hands to the heart center. So we'll do the second side. Take your hands to your hips, step the right foot back. And again, we wanna make sure your hips have some space to point forward, both of your hip bones. So walk the left foot to the left a little, your right foot to the right a little. And your right toes are kind of angled forward on a diagonal here. My blocks are ready for me, so I'm gonna inhale, reach the arms up. And as the exhale happens, I hinge from the hips, bringing my hands down to those blocks. And now I'm gonna again kind of challenge you here to see what feels good in your body today for this pose, for this part of the practice. Maybe that means flexing the front foot and lifting the toes. Maybe it means walking the blocks forward and folding over the front foot. Okay, it could mean anything, whatever feels best to you as long as you're breathing, all right? We'll be here for a couple rounds of breath. So see if you can settle into your version of the pose. Find your breath. Allow the breath to flow really effortlessly in and out. Let it be spacious. And then just kind of take inventory. Notice what's different in this side as opposed to the first side. Good. All right, and we'll slowly come out of this. So stepping the right foot a little bit further back, releasing that right knee down. And we're gonna bring the blocks in just a little closer to me here. So I'm helping support my low lunge. The back knee down, the back toes are untucked. I can keep the hands on the block. I can walk them up to the front thigh, whatever feels most supportive for you for your practice. And if it's available, we'll reach those arms up, interlacing the fingers and creating that little pillow for the head. So in this position, I'm allowing my weight to kind of drop down here, but I'm not just letting it all drop down. I'm pulling my pelvic floor muscles in and up as my hips descend. Okay, so I'm dropping, but I'm also lifting at the same time. I'm supporting the joints in my body. And then allow the head to lean back. Maybe your gaze shifts up, right? If that makes you a little wobbly or off balance, you don't have to look up, okay? So do what works for you. And then check in with your breath. Make sure you're breathing. For 3. For 2. For 1. We'll slowly release the hands. Bring them down to your blocks and then shift the weight into the back knee. As you bend the back knee, the front leg straightens and you can walk your blocks in a little closer to support you in that, okay? And now as the front leg straightens, we want to flex the foot. And as you flex your foot, if it's available, if you can think about it and make it happen. Sometimes the body-mind connection doesn't really happen. But if you can, push the ball of the left big toe mound forward, okay? So that will lengthen the inner border of your leg. If that's too much, flex your front foot. That's all you got to think about. And then now, if you're rounding in your spine like this, see if you could find some length, some extension. So we're drawing the heart forward, we're pulling the shoulders back, and we're almost feeling the very bottom of your pelvic bone or pubic bone press back and lift up. Good. And we're almost to the end of our practice. You guys are doing great. Hang with me just a couple more minutes here. If you can, fold forward a little bit more here, then go for it. Just make sure you're still breathing. All right. Let's come out of this. So slowly bend into the front knee, and we'll set the blocks over to the side of the mat. And then we'll step back into our plank position. So your hands are down. You can tuck the back toes and lift the back knee and then just get back there into your plank. From plank, again, we lower all the way down onto the belly. Drop your knees if you need to support yourself in lowering onto the belly. And then bring your forearms out in front of you. So with the forearms on the ground, they're in 2 parallel lines. We call this Sphinx position for obvious reasons. And in Sphinx position, again, we don't want to kind of drop into the shoulder joints here. We want to create space in the body rather than lose it in yoga, right? So we're pushing down into the forearms to lift up out of the shoulders. And then we're pulling the heads of the shoulders back and drawing the collarbones and the heart forward. Now the other piece of this is activating the legs. So push the tops of the feet down to activate your legs. And then see if you could push your pubic bone down to activate your belly. So I'm pulling my abdominal muscles in and away from the yoga mat rather than just letting them hang out here. If they're hanging out, my low back has a lot of pressure and that doesn't feel very nice, and it can also cause injuries. So activate, pull the belly in, Notice my front body wants to round as I do that. So I'm just gonna go through my checkpoints again. I'm gonna pull the forearms back, pull the heads of the shoulders back, draw the collarbones and the heart forward, keeping my belly active, okay? Keeping the abdominal muscles drawing in. Just breathing here. All right, and then from this position, slide your right knee all the way up towards your right elbow. Your right knee to your right elbow. This already might feel pretty good, so you can hang here if you want. Otherwise, we're gonna come into a twisting position. So my left hand is gonna reach towards that right knee, and I'll just roll over onto my back. My right arm reaching out to the side. Okay? So we're coming into a reclined twist. The right knee is crossing over the body. If I lost you, just find your way into this position here. You're on your back, your right knee's crossed over your body. Take a couple breaths here. Okay, and we're gonna reverse this. So we'll come back to that Sphinx position, which means roll over onto your belly. Slide the right knee down to meet the left leg. So we're back where we started, okay? Now the left knee comes up to the left elbow, and I'm gonna take the right hand, reach it towards that left knee, and twist. So again, rolling onto my back. Now the left knee is crossed over the body. That was the fanciest move we'll do in this practice, I promise. We're almost done. You guys have done so wonderful. From here, we'll roll all the way over onto the back, which isn't far. So just whoop, over to the left. Center yourself on your yoga mat. Place the feet hips distance apart, and your hands come right down by your sides. Your feet should be about underneath the knees here. Press down into your feet to lift your hips up. So we call this bridge pose, right? And you can adjust the feet as needed. So we don't want them out here, out in front of the knees. It's a lot kind of harder to do this position. We want them stacked right underneath the knees. And then you have more leverage to lift the hips up. Now, if it's available, you can kind of wiggle those shoulders together underneath you, and you might be able to interlace your fingers here. Breathe for 3. For 2. And 1. We'll slowly release this. So come on down from your bridge. Pull your knees into your chest. So hug the knees in. And we'll finish today with what's called a happy baby. This is a quintessential yoga posture. It actually feels pretty darn good. And I have a baby and she does this pose. So, you know, there's something to it. Grab the outer edges of your feet and bend your knees. If you live in a really tight body and this is not available for you, grab the backs of your thighs, okay? Or even the backs of the calves or your ankles, whatever is available for you to grab, and bend your knees. If you are a tighter person, you might be up here like this, and your hips might be lifted and your chest might be lifted. In fact, this might be a really uncomfortable pose altogether, right? Eventually, we'll start to get you to where you can unwind a little bit, where the hips can descend and the head can descend. Might take some time. Think about how many years it took you to get to where you are, so don't be hard on yourself. And in this position, if it's available, you might be able to just kind of rock side to side. If you rock over one direction and you can't get back up, that's okay. Just come back to center and stay there and breathe. All right. So this feels really good. Just massaging the muscles in the back body. Your kidneys also live there and your adrenal glands, so you can kind of massage into those. Good. And when you're ready, we come down into the best posture of yoga in my position, Shavasana. This is also known as corpse pose. So we lie down on the back and we play dead. The best part. Flop your feet in and out a couple times. This just helps to reset the thigh bones in the hip sockets. Good. And then let's take a big inhale through your nose. Fill all the way up. Part your lips and exhale out from your mouth.